Okay, so part two of my journey update. I believe last video I went over my success plans slash somewhat like career plans, and that included my 7 sources of income, as well as I went over a life lesson. And this video is just going to be kind of an update on what it is that I've been doing for the past month, pretty much since the last video. Um, and then also at the end, I'm going to do another life lesson. So a lot has happened in the last month, and I didn't realize that it's only been a month, but it kind of felt like a lot more than a month. Um, so I'll start off with a story. So at my current job, I was I'm part of the logistics team for Harbor Freight Tools, and I do most of the work when it comes to the warehouse. And we have days which are called truck days, in which we receive all of our products and we have to unload a truck. And these days are particularly difficult because there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and if management or our supervisors aren't really clear on what it is that they want us to do, we could get backed up, and we're supposed to finish all the work in one day, but sometimes it spills over into the next day. So it's a bit stressful, and you got to kind of be on top of it the entire time. But I was in the back of the truck one of these days, and I was unloading all of the products that we were getting, and it's a semi truck, and it's full. It's filled up pretty much with boxes. At least halfway are boxes, and the rest of the space is pallets. Um, but I was sitting there, well, standing, pushing out all these boxes, and thinking to myself, like, yeah, this is a nice job. Like, this is good. I like what I'm doing. It's stable, consistent, and they're giving me a lot of hours. And management is great. Everybody's super nice. Other employees are fun to talk to. And then I realized, like, wait, what am I doing? Like, I'm kind of messing up because I started to get complacent. Maybe not really complacent, but I started to get comfortable with the position I was in. And I started to realize, like, oh shoot, like I lost track of what it is, like the whole purpose that I'm here. And so I I kind of took a step back and kind of started to analyze like what just happened. And maybe it's not too clear, but pretty much what happened is I completely lost track of the whole reason I started working there. And the reason I started working there wasn't to get a career out of this job, because I didn't want to get a career out of a 9 to 5 job. I want a career with my own business. And it was so easy for me to kind of put myself into this idea that I can start a career here and that I wanted to start a career here. And it's kind of an eye opening experience, to say the least, because I don't even know where this idea came from, but it was kind of scary too, because I almost got so sidetracked on as to what it is that I wanted to do. Because most people, I'd imagine, when they get a job like this, they're super excited and they're like, man, I could be here forever, right? And especially when it's like a job that they kind of enjoy doing. So, uh, that same day, all I could think about while I was working was, I need to be looking for something better. I can't get complacent and stick to what's comfortable. I have to put myself out there and put myself in uncomfortable situations to start maturing and progress. And so that same day, I was just at work thinking about what's the next step I need to take to have an easier job that I like even more, and that pays me even more. And I came across an idea. One of my older brothers, he has a very successful job that he loves to do, and he's been telling me about it for a while. And I'm still a teenager. I'm 19, and he'd probably told me about it since I was 16. And so for 3 years, he's been telling me about this job and how great it is and how I should start to get my foot in the door. And I was thinking like, nah, it's not really for me. Da 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 da. Like, I don't really want to do that. Like, at the same time, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. Um, so I thought about that, and I was like, this job is that he's talking about might actually be something I want to do and look into. So that same day, actually, I think while I was working on my break, I texted him, and it was like 8 in the morning or something, because I had a 4 a.m. shift, so my break was around 6 or 8, and I just texted him saying, hey, can you let me know more about this position, because I really want to learn more about it and just kind of get into it. And he said, absolutely. And he started telling me everything I needed to do to get this position. And I realized that he's been at this job for over a decade, I believe, and he knows the ins and outs. And I was thinking to myself, because he knows the ins and outs, he knows the ends of being able to be successful at this job, and he can teach me everything I needed to know. And so I realized, like, he's a master at his craft. Why am I not going to listen to a master? So as of right now, he's pretty much like my mentor, and I've realized that when you're talking to somebody who knows a lot about their specific field or craft, you should never question them and think, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, because they absolutely know what they're talking about, especially when they've been doing it for over a decade. So I realized I need to be doing everything he tells me, to the word, to the letter. I need to do everything he tells me. So that's exactly what I've been doing. I've done every single thing that he's told me to do. And I had an interview this past week, and they got back to me and said, hey, we're going to have you fill out an assessment as well as a background check. And I couldn't have been more excited about getting a new job, because I realized that it's such a big, important stepping stone for my career and my future life, current life as well as my future life, but mostly my future life. Because in the past month, I've also kind of realized more about what it is that I want to do personally, when it comes to my career and my own personal success. And I've realized that having a consistent schedule is extremely important. With the current job I have, it's a bit inconsistent. So I don't have, for example, work Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday off every single week. It could be Monday through Friday one week and Sunday through Thursday the next week. It's really not clear on a set consistent schedule, which is what I want and as well as what I need when it comes to my career plan or success plan for my 7 sources of income. So moving on to that, I've started 2 more of my ideas, I should say. One being, well, actually, let me just go over them again. So we have social media management, content creation, a pin design business, car detailing, power washing, third-party clothing sales or e-commerce, and real estate. So the 2 new business ideas that I've started are third-party clothing sales, which I already have a few pieces of clothing up on Etsy, and I'm using Printify to make my products. And next week I will be investing into some car detailing products so that I can start practicing and going out and doing some door-to-door sales, asking nearby neighbors if I can do some detailing on their cars. So I guess that's a total of 3 new sources of income that I'm working on. So the new job, clothing line, and car detailing. All 3 of these things I'm super passionate about, but I don't think a lot of people know the difference between being passionate about what you love and being passionate about something that you need to do in order to get to where you're doing something that you love. So what does that mean? That means that I'm not super passionate about doing a clothing line, because personally I don't see myself 10 years from now still making clothing, and especially car detailing as well. But what I am passionate about are my future big goals, such as real estate. I'm really passionate about getting into that, but I also know that I need to make money in order to do that. So, in turn, I'm very passionate about making clothing right now, and I'm very passionate about car detailing right now. Why? Because I know that those are going to be stepping stones to get me to where I want to be. So doing the thing you love doesn't necessarily mean you get to start off doing that. Sometimes you have to build up, and you got to crawl before you walk. And right now I'm crawling as fast as I possibly can. So I'll go in a little more in depth into what it is that I'm doing for each of the new 7 sources of income. So clothing line, we'll start with that. So right now I started an account with Etsy, Printify, and Shopify. I'm using Printify to get all of my products and put my designs onto them. And then I've also connected it to my Etsy account as well as my Shopify account, so that when I'm finished making a product, I can just quickly and simply upload it. And I'm also going to start making a TikTok for that, as well as an Instagram, so I can start promoting it some more. And that can also be another source of income, because that would fall under social media management as well as content creation. Because I think that when it comes to businesses, you got to ring it out for all you can. And that even goes for a 9 to 5, in my opinion, which I can actually even get into more detail on that when I start talking about the car detailing. But right now, I just have 3 articles of clothing up on Shopify and Printify. And I'm just going to kind of be making some designs. I even have an artist right now that I'm talking to, who's a really close friend of mine. He's very talented, and I let him know, like, hey, any of the designs that you give me and I put on a clothing product, I will give you a percentage. And I'm very fortunate to have that kind of close relationship with somebody who's so talented. Moving on to car detailing, though. So I work at Harbor Freight Tools, and they don't just sell tools like pliers and wrenches and screwdrivers, but they also sell car detailing tools. In fact, they sell a lot of them. That's actually like its own section. It has its own aisle. So what do I mean? I'm backtrack a little bit. So what do I mean by you got to ring out even your 9 to 5 for everything you possibly can? Well, to me, my 9 to 5 is a stepping stone for my future. Why? Because I get paid, and with what I'm paid, I use to put into future investments. So I invest in now, and I also invest in my future. I have a 20% discount on all store products that I can use. So I figured, well, let me do everything I can to get as much out of this job as I possibly can. What does that mean? Well, I want to start a car detailing business, so while it wouldn't really make sense for me to go to Amazon and buy all of my products and pay full price. It doesn't really make sense. But what does make sense is going to my job on a day I'm not working, or even after I'm done working, getting all the products I need and paying for them, and getting that 20% discount. Why? Because 1, it's what I want to do right now, and 2, I'm getting a 20% discount. Like, that it just makes sense. I don't really know how else to make it any simpler, but like I said, get out as much of your job as you possibly can. And then I guess that'll bring me on to the last part of this video, which is the life lesson. So the life lesson of this video is, I wrote it down, let's see. So life can be very easy when you put in just a little bit more effort and work than the average person. This is something that I heard somewhere. Shoot, I might have even heard it on TikTok, but it's something I heard, and I thought about it for a quick second, just really quick, and I was like, does that make sense? I was like, maybe a little bit. In this past month, it has made more sense than it ever has. Why? Because I started to notice that people just don't put in the necessary work, even for the things that they want. And when you look at like the average person, a lot of their time is going into things that they don't even want to put their time into. Like, they don't realize that they're putting their time into pointless things that they don't even really care about. And I started to realize, like, wow, in this last month, I've made so much more progress than I have in the past 2 years out of high school. If I were to have known all the knowledge I know now right out of high school, I would be leaps ahead of where I am right now. And if there's any takeaway from anything that I've said in this video, it should be that just a little extra effort than everybody else around you is going to bring you much further in a much shorter amount of time than waiting for something to happen. It's all about taking action and going out there and looking for that next best thing for you. So, also, another thing I wanted to talk about was getting started. A lot of people don't really know how to get started, but when it's something that you're passionate about, it's pretty easy because chances are, if you're passionate about something, you already know more than most people about it. You know something that most other people don't know about it. You just gotta. It's all about really just studying. Study what it is that you like, and when you have an idea of like, oh, I want something, don't just think about, oh, I want this, and don't take any action. You got to think about, how do I get what I want? A lot of people don't do that either. They don't think about, how do I get what I want? So an example is, personally, I want a brand new TRD Pro Tacoma. Why? I think they look super awesome. But one mistake I made out of high school was, I said I wanted that, but I didn't ask myself how. How am I going to get that? And all I knew was I wanted one. And I spent 2 years not asking the question how. I now have been asking myself the question how. You got to start with the how. And I've started to answer that question, which is 7 sources of income and moving up in either my work, so finding a new job, or moving up in pay, or even moving up in a position. It's all about taking those steps to further yourself, not further yourself, but bring yourself closer to what it is that you want. So it doesn't even have to be a car. It could be a new phone. Okay, well, you need a new phone. Well, how do you get a new phone? Well, you got to work. Okay, how much do you have to work for it? If you're getting paid minimum wage, you're gonna have to work, probably 2 weeks if you want a brand new phone, because they're like $1,500 now. But this goes for anything, whether it's a house, a car, a phone, a laptop, whatever it is. You're gonna have to figure out, how do I get to that? And you gotta also always be keeping track of when you're spending money. You gotta think about, when you spend money, you gotta think about, how long did it actually take me to make this? So if I were to buy, let's say, a brand new laptop, say it's $500, I would have to look at how much I make per hour, how much I make per day, and then how much I make per week. And I could see, okay, this laptop that costs $500 costs X amount of time at work. So let's say you're getting paid minimum wage, $15, I think it's like $15.75. So divide 500 by 1575, and that's how many hours it's going to take. I mean, I don't really know the math on that, but it's quite a few. So then you got to think about, okay, well, I don't want it to take that much time anymore. What do I have to do? How do I work less for more in order to be able to purchase this using less of my time? Because as the old saying goes, time is money. But that being said, that's pretty much all I had to talk about in this video. That's pretty much all I have for updates. I did want to do an update sooner, but I didn't really have the time, because the past couple of weeks I've only had like one day off during the week. I've been working 6 days a week, and then my shift starts at 4 in the morning, so I have to, pretty much after work, go to the gym, get some food, and by that time it already feels like the day's over. And I try to get 8 hours of sleep each night, so the day kind of goes by pretty quickly. But I have been starting to get a couple more days off here and there, so I finally kind of had some time to sit down, write the script for this video, and then actually record it. But other than that, this video took a little bit longer than the last one, but I think that's fine. Other than that, we do the best we can. We always got to stay looking up, stay positive, and each day is 24 hours that we can move just a little bit closer to our goals. If you can't use those 24 hours to get even just a little bit closer, then I'd say you're probably wasting your time with something else. Take a good look at what it is that you're spending your time on. Again, time is money. So what are you spending your time and money on? And really just get to start taking things out of your day that you don't need to worry about, and start putting that time into other things, other focuses, whether that's reading, whether that's starting a side hustle, whether that's starting a business, whether that's looking for a new job, updating your resume, different things like that. Other than that, have an amazing day, and I will see you in part 3.